Hello everyone. This is my first video for this channel. I've been meaning excuse me. I've been meaning to make a video for a while. But my other channel, my gaming channel, is taking up a lot of my time, but I was sorry. And I was meaning for my first video on here to be different, but we're going to talk about what today is. Today is a very somber day. It is a very dark day for America. 24 years ago today, the September 11th terrorist attacks happened. It is a day that I will always remember. We need to do everything we can to honor those people that lost their lives on that day and as a result of that day. It is a deeply painful day for people. I didn't know anyone personally that died on that day, but it is deeply painful for me. I'm also been ridden with guilt because of that day. I won't go into details, but we got so much going on in the world today. But today needs to be all about what happened on that day 24 years ago, and the people who lost their lives because of it, and the heroes who saved lives despite the terrorists. We had a whole plane full of people. Once they learned the terrorist intentions, they fought back against their hijackers. And I've heard different stories where the passengers crashed the plane, where the hijackers crashed the plane, or where the basically everybody lost control of the plane and it crashed on its own. Regardless, it does not lessen the fact that those people fought to save lives, to keep another attack from happening. They are heroes, and they deserve to be treated as heroes. For as long as I live, barring I don't get Alzheimer's or anything like that, I will always remember that day. And let me tell you how that day started for me. I was sleeping, and my then girlfriend and now ex-wife came in, just woke me out of the blue and said a plane crashed into the World Trade Center. Of course, when you get woken up out of the blue like that, you're still groggy, you still know what's going on. I kind of thought she was full of shit or whatever. So I turned on the TV, and yeah, there's a gaping hole in the tower, in one of the towers of the World Trade Center. Now, I, like everybody else, thought it was just an accident. Well, when that second plane hit the second tower, then we all knew it was no accident. I was glued to my TV all day that day. And at the time this happened, my oldest child, she was she was born on April 19th, so she was May, June, July, August, September. So not quite 5 months old, I would say, if my math is correct. So I'm glad she wasn't old enough to see that and go through that. But I was glued to my TV set that day. The things I watched that day, and I realized I didn't see it firsthand. I wasn't in New York and didn't see it firsthand. But regardless of whether you're watching it firsthand or, in New York as it happens or watching it on TV as it happens, it's very traumatic. And I feel so sorry for the people that lost their lives on that day. I saw the second plane go into the second tower. I saw people jumping from buildings. I saw the buildings collapse. I was mortified. My heart broke. And while I'm here, I'm going to share a memory, a post that I created on Facebook. It says 7 years ago. I'm not the most eloquent with words, but this is my Facebook post. I realize that I haven't written or posted anything about what happened on the stage 17 years ago. I usually do every year. Maybe I will still post something. Maybe I won't. Even if I do not post something, it in no ways means that I have forgotten. How could I forget what happened on that horrible day? It still haunts me to this day. I can still see the planes hitting. I can still see people jumping. I can still see the towers collapsing. I still feel immense heartache. I still feel tremendous sadness. I still feel overpowering guilt. Like I said, I'm not eloquent with words in any manner or what have you. Like I said, I don't know anybody personally that lost their lives on that day 24 years ago. But I am still deeply traumatized by what I saw that day. And I know a lot of people are. Like I said, there's a lot going on in the politics world right now, but that's not what this is about. This day needs to be about September 11th and the people that lost their lives. I'm not trying to get too political, but we don't need to be flying the flag half-mast for one single MAGA supporter who was shot dead. That flag needs to be flying at half-mast for all the people that lost their lives on that day. That's who we need to remember on that day, on this day. Not anybody else. There's kids that have grown up, never knowing who their father was, or their mother, or whichever relative. There's women that were pregnant at the time, and they lost their husbands or their significant others. It was a very sad day. It still is. You know, the world will go on after today, but today we need to remember the people who lost their lives. We need to remember what happened. I'm struggling to find words right now. I mean, I'm not always the best talker anyway, but today cannot be about politics. Today needs to be about the victims of September 11th terrorist attacks. Today needs to be about them. Today needs to be about the heroes and the victims. I served in the military for 6 years. I had gotten out of the military on April 6th or April 7th, 2001. My oldest child was born on April 19th. So if I would have re-enlisted, I would have gone overseas. Which in some ways I kind of wish I would have gotten deployed. But like I said at the time, I had a brand new baby girl. Almost 5 months old. And as I've already mentioned from my Facebook post, to this day, I still feel a tremendous sense of guilt. I'm not going to go into why I feel that guilt on here. Maybe one of these days I'll be able to find someone who lost a loved one on September 11th and apologize to them for what I'm guilty about. But until that happens, it's my own personal business. And then, and maybe I shouldn't feel guilty, but I do. But this day needs to be all about the victims of 9/11. We need to always honor and remember those who lost their lives. We need to always honor and remember those who were heroes, who tried to save lives. This day should never be about politics. It should never be about anything else other than the tragic events that happened on that day 24 years ago. We should always remember what happened then. I will always remember. I will never forget. If I think about it too much, I'll start to get emotional. And I don't really want to do that on camera. This is a never-ending day of heartache. Every year on this day there will be heartache, there will be pain. There will be people missing loved ones. And I apologize for not talking very well in this video. I don't script my videos. I like to talk freely. And sometimes I stumble over my words. But I'd rather sit here and stumble over my words and be genuine about my feelings than try to go by a script and do things that way. September 11th never should have happened. Never should have needed to happen. And unfortunately it did. And we need to honor those who lost their lives. We need to always remember what happened. We need to remember people's sacrifices. We need to remember the lessons that that day taught us forever. Or should have taught us forever. We need to never lose sight of that. I feel so much pain, so much heartache for the people that did lose loved ones on that day. The people that were affected by that day. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I lost a loved one, because, like I said, I don't personally know anybody that was killed or injured on that day. But, just going back to what I witnessed that day, it is still tragic. There's no doubt in my mind it is the most tragic thing I've ever seen. I've lost my mother, so obviously, that's tragic too. I'm just saying, as far as things that excuse me. As far as things that I've seen that, that I haven't personally been involved with, that is the most tragic thing I've ever seen. And we must even honor our armed forces that served in the wars as a result of 9/11 in both Afghanistan and Iraq. Whether the reasons were good or bad that we went over to Iraq, I'm not going to get into here. That's not what it is about. I'm just saying we should honor the soldiers for doing their duty and for fighting for this country, for fighting for the ones who lost their lives. Like I said, I'm not the most eloquent guy in the world, and I keep stumbling over my words. But, I wanted to make something to honor the victims of that day. Like I said, I'm so glad that my daughter was only 5 months old at the time, and she wasn't older, a little girl, and got to witness this firsthand, because that would have been so traumatic, and she would have been so confused and had so many questions. And I'm sure there's kids that on that day that may have witnessed what happened, that were older than my daughter. And I'm sure that was traumatic for them. Because I know when I was a kid, I watched, like everybody, probably most people in my generation, I watched the Space Shuttle Challenger launch and subsequently explode. When you see something like that as a kid, it's very terrifying, very traumatic. But yeah, I'm making this video to try to honor the victims of the September 11th terrorist attacks. I hope like hell we never go through that again. I pray to God we never have to go through that again. Osama bin Laden is dead. But that does not mean that there's other people that won't try this. We need to always remember those victims. We need to always remember, take to heart those lessons we learned from that day. And hopefully we as individuals and we as a country learned lessons from that day. I pray that we did. But we cannot have another day like that. The loss of life on that day was I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe that the loss of life on that day was worse than Pearl Harbor. Men died. Women died. Children died. Policemen died. Firefighters died. A lot of people died on that day. A lot of people didn't need to die on that day. It should have never happened. But since it has, we need to honor those people. We need to remember them always. Today should never be about politics. But I guarantee you'll probably go on CNN or whatever website or whatever news show and you'll see something about politics today. It should never be about politics. I personally feel that today should be a national holiday where everything gets shut down. Schools, or businesses or industries, I'm not sure whatever word you'd like to use, like banks, like federal government office buildings or what have you. To honor the victims, I feel that should be a national holiday where everything is shut down. To honor the victims. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. You know, I'm not going to sit here and argue with anybody on here about their opinions. But one thing I know for a fact is we need to always honor these people. We need to never forget. Never forget those who lost their lives. Never forget the heroes who try to save lives. Never forget the heroes who took over a plane to save lives and lost their lives in the process. We can never forget any of this. We should never forget any of this. Now, I'm going to end this video pretty soon, but on a side note, I'm going to start making more content for this channel. Like I said, my other channel, my Fortnite gaming channel has been taking a lot of my time. But I plan on starting making more content for this channel. I've been trying to make a first video for this channel, and I wasn't expecting it to be about 9/11, but I kept putting it off, and well, now it's 9/11, so I decided I couldn't make any other video other than this one about 9/11. Because making any other type of video about any other type of subject on this day would just be bullshit. Pardon my language, but it would dishonor those who lost their lives on this day 24 years ago. But yeah, we'll be making more videos for this channel. Hopefully at least once a week. Because I've been trying to do my Fortnite gaming channel 3 times a week, but... And like on there, I'll apologize for the quality of the videos because I'm just working with basic equipment, but... And I apologize for not being eloquent, but I have to say what's in my heart and what's on my mind. And today, what's in my heart and what's on my mind is 9/11 and the people that lost their lives on that day. The people that became heroes on that day. Never forget. Always remember.